Hello and welcome to our project on Airbnb and evictions. My name is Derek Apperson,
I'm Jesse Leo.
and let's get into it.
Awesome. In recent years, the public idea of Airbnbs and gentrification has shown to have an increase in evictions in those respective neighborhoods when Airbnb rentals are shown to be added. And to answer the question, we were given 4 data tables from Airbnb, and we're going to be focusing on 2 of them: listings that show the listings from Airbnb, and the evictions in the respective neighborhoods and our reasons for being evicted. Next slide. And our questions there are: is there a relationship between the two? And can we have any predictive capability from that? Another thing we want to look for is some neighborhoods of San Francisco are more impacted by these Airbnb listings, and if so, what does that mean?
Okay, this is our join table. First, we manipulated both the evictions and listings tables to group them by their neighborhood so that we could see how many listings and evictions were in each neighborhood, and then we joined those tables together. And then we made the evictions per listing column for use later. That's actually the evictions column divided by the Airbnb listings column. Go ahead.
And we actually created 2 different plots about exploring the data, and this is from the full data table. So this is a scatter plot showing the evictions over Airbnb listings, and each dot is respectively the neighborhood from that data. And this is to see if there's any type of linear relationship, and there actually seems to be some type of relationship between the two, along with some outliers, but we'll expand on that later.
Okay, this is our qualitative plot. We plotted that last column of our full data table, the evictions per listing. And we want to look at this to see if we can determine the outliers. So we can look at Lakeshore as it has a huge amount of evictions per listing. And then we can maybe look at that as an outlier and maybe determine some others from there. This is our aggregated data table. Now, what we want to do with this is we can compare the neighborhoods by property type and see that the most common property types are apartment, guest suite, and house. And then maybe look at the less common ones, and maybe those could explain some outliers in the data we have. Now, we can bring all that together and use it for our hypothesis test to determine our outliers. For our hypothesis test, we use a multiple category model where our null hypothesis was that is there an association between the proportions of the observed value and the empirical data? Our alternative hypothesis is that there is no association. Our test statistic was the sum of the absolute value of the new statistics we generated minus the Airbnb listing proportions, the original proportions, divided by 2. Now, we divide by 2 to get rid of the double dipping effect. We used a 5% p-value cutoff, which we observed our test statistic to be around 0.24, which is way outside of our empirical distribution. So we can say that we want to reject the null hypothesis. And then from that, we cannot say that the Airbnb listings are an accurate predictor of all neighborhoods, but maybe for some.
Right, and continuing on that, besides rejecting a null, we still want to look at a regression test. So this is from full data table again, listings over evictions on the y-axis. We just found that the linear fit had a correlation of 0.64, showing that there is a very strong relationship between the two. And if we look to our right, the residual plots actually show the same thing, despite some outliers such as Lakeshore that actually might change the relationship between the two. And we want to sum up our results. So our main goal is to find a relationship between Airbnbs and evictions. And despite supporting our alternative hypothesis, our regression line actually shows that we can somewhat accurately predict some neighborhood evictions based on their Airbnb listings. And if time permitted, we would like to continue our research, being given the number of people living in each neighborhood and find a proportion of people being evicted for further analysis. And some confounding variables we thought of was 1, San Francisco is very expensive. So 1, there's meant to be a lot of evictions. It's a very expensive place. A lot of people can't afford it. And 2, it's very touristy, so there are bound to be a lot of Airbnb listings in places where people go to vacation. And that about sums up our research report. Thank you.